welcome to the Badger Politic. I'm Scott Stearns.
Good evening, this is Paul.
Hey, Paul. This is episode 100.
Cien. Is it okay to speak in Spanish words here?
Sure.
Okay, I don't want to offend anybody from the administration because they might think I'm anti-racist
Might
or something.
send you back from whence you came.
Okay, I mean, if we lose to Trump, I'd probably take the first trip back. But unfortunately...
Where are you going to go?
Yeah, I didn't really come from anywhere.
At least not this generation.
Right, here. But on the other hand, and they probably wouldn't take me back.
So what's new? There's been a few things in the news as of late.
Yeah.
Since the last time we talked a few weeks ago, we talked about the Democratic field, or as we have been last few episodes. Eric Swalwell, Democrat of California, has dropped out of the Democratic primary.
He passed the torch.
I guess so. I guess he did.
Right.
So, and then Tom Steyer announced, with too much.
Oh, there we go.
Too much fanfare.
There we go. Now we know we're going to win.
Yeah.
Now I won't have to move back to Ireland.
I guess.
All right. Well, yeah. In fact, he brought up shithole countries.
Yes,
and he said that they were. It was racist to say that, which I would agree with. But apparently, the House of Representatives won't let that go into the record.
No, apparently not. He challenged the Republicans to say, is it not racist? And of course, they just stuck to the point of order, and it just called for his comments to be struck from the record.
And there's some weird technicality where they're entitled to do it, except that I think it's still kind of a gray area. Can you say that saying these things is racist without calling the person racist?
Well, that's up to the parliamentarian, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have the majority. You'd think that they would. Ultimately, we need to be able to call racism for what it is when it happens, even when it comes from the President of the United States, or especially when it comes from the President of the United States.
Noticed, so, I mean, obviously we're talking about the squad, right? We're talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley. The four freshmen who have been called out by this president.
The squad, right.
Yeah. And,
Uncle Rick has a lot to say about
it. I'm sure. The president this week called for them to be, if they're not happy here, he said they should go back and take care of the countries that they came from. And the interesting part about that is, obviously, three of them were born here, and one of them was born in Somalia, and all four of them are American citizens.
Yeah, not completely naturalized citizens.
So it's on its face. It's racist. And
you think?
I do give a lot of credit, actually, to the media. I was listening to NPR earlier, and they actually are they're referring to the comments that the president made as racist. And they're not saying like the supposedly racist comments or the allegedly racist comments.
And I was reading how, historically, we used to the media would call comments racist, or they would say, racists rally against desegregation. This was in the 50s.
Calling a spade a spade.
And then at some point, the white supremacists basically tried to whitewash, literally, the language, and they somehow got the media to hoodwink into a kinder, gentler, racially tinged comment. What is a tinge anyway? What I mean, it's... And so it's about time the media just calls them. And it's true. I remember, I like reading old newspapers. And if you go back and read a newspaper in 1955, they'll say, bus boycott against racism. Or they'll talk about the Klan. They'll be like, racists terrorize black communities or something like that.
And maybe we're getting back to that that time where that terminology is used as opposed to just kind of, like you said, kind of whitewashing it or muddying the waters, so to speak. I think there's not much else you can say to say that what the president said is anything but racist.
Swalwell was part of a very large field of Democratic contenders, if you will.
Yeah. He did drop out.
He was one of the people getting the zeros, or as the Onion would say, polling at N/A, which leads one of them to ask his advisors if that's a good thing or a bad. He thought it was. Does that mean nearly awesome?
Yeah. I like that.
So there's about a dozen or so that are polling in the zeros right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of others that should kind of follow his lead and pass the torch to somebody more capable.
So there is some real tension though between AOC and the squad, so to speak, and
the House leadership,
and Nancy Pelosi.
Yep,
right.
Yep.
And there is some serious worry, right, that these guys are so far to the left, and they're defining the Democratic Party. I know this is a kind of unpopular thing to say, because a lot of my fellow progressives would say, well, you're selling out.
Well, there's been some internal squabbles, I would say, over the previous weeks, and we talked about it before the show, in the article by Maureen Dowd in the Times.
Scaling Wokeback Mountain?
Yeah, that was being written prior to this whole thing coming up a few days ago. And now I think what Trump has succeeded in doing with his comments is kind of unifying the House again.
Right. Well, what he's done is, though, the brilliance of the strategy...
Unifying the House in terms of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, but there was some intelligence, which is what you're doing is you're forcing the Democrats to come to the aid of people that are pretty far outside the mainstream, even of the Democratic Party.
Uh-huh.
And you're forcing them to publicly embrace them. The thing is, he went so racist on it, he made it much easier. Had he just been attacking their positions,
right,
he would have had something. But, of course, Nancy Pelosi was more than willing to let them kind of go on their own.
And they did pass the resolution yesterday, the House did, on a largely party line vote. However, I believe there were 4 Republicans and an independent that did vote for it. So there were a few people that were at least willing to stick their neck out.
So I mean, the good news is right now, okay, because you were pointing this out like a week ago, okay? The good news is we're not talking about whether or not the Democratic Party supports the elimination of private insurance. You were pointing out that that's a real political loser. I personally think it's not a bad idea, but I do...
There's policy and there's politics.
I can see how that may not be a complete winner. There's a reason that hasn't gotten through. I personally like it, but I feel like I'm still in the minority there, and I think we'll get clobbered pretty badly.
But your point being that's not the conversation that's taking place
not
right now.
Not anymore at all.
Yeah.
And because Trump went on a racist binge.
Yes.
Now, the question is, do they bring it back to that?
Well, at some point it will. It will come around to that.
Does making this whole fight with Trump, though, and get them on the record defending them, then somehow equate the rest of the Democratic candidates with the most far-left positions?
Well, no, because I think whoever the nominee is going to take kind of a third-way approach to it. It's not going to be just preserving Obamacare. It's not going to be pure Medicare for all with no private insurance. The nominee who gets the nomination for the Democrats will propose probably a roadmap to Medicare for all, but it could be anything from just adding a public option to the exchanges to putting a timeline in place where, hey, we're going to transition people over time.
I think Joe Biden's got it, Obamacare 2.0. It's like we embrace the progress we made and we build on it.
Well, which is what they initially proposed, right? Before Joel Lieberman stood in the way of a public option, that was supposed to be kind of the way for people to have an affordable.
We don't want to sell it like that. We want to sell it as new, as building on the progress.
Sure.
And I feel a little torn, although I do feel generally sympathetic toward the push for reparations. However, I do think that it's a real political loser when you get to it. And there are people who would say, well, how can you sell people out like that? And I'm just going to say that you're not selling anybody out. I mean, it's just not going to happen. What ought to happen is a real New Deal that basically deals everybody in, and especially black and brown people. That's, I think, the way to do it, because I think you're just going to reelect Trump, and then you're getting nowhere. I mean, in fact, it's the opposite of reparations. You'll create more problems that will have to have future reparations, unfortunately. If you doubt how strident the right is, just ask my Uncle Rick. Speaking of right-wingers, though, we have a former governor, who found another job.
Yeah, so what's this new job? So he's going to be in charge of the Republican Youth of America or something like that?
Something like, except it's not a very youthful organization.
Yeah.
The head of it is 71 and retiring, so they're on a youth movement, so they decided to bring in 52-year-old Scott Walker to help lead the cause.
Well, and then taking this new job, he did concede that he's not going to be running for governor or Senate in 2022.
And he literally did close his campaign account, so it looks like he is out.
It's a done deal.
On the other hand, his personal bank account will finally get a little might to it. He gets a $695,000 base salary plus at least his predecessor this last year earned $695,000 with a $300,000 in bonuses.
Do we think he's going to use any of that additional cash to
buy
finish
ham sandwiches?
To finish his college degree, as he pledged some years ago when he was still governor?
I wonder if, in order to give himself some credibility, because he doesn't have to start it for 2 years, if he won't spend that time going out and getting the degree.
He's not going to get the degree. It's not.
That's what I would do if I wanted to become some sort of intellectual Republican heavyweight.
Unless he wants to run for president again. I don't think he's going for that.
Well, I think he's trying to position himself as an important senior Republican figure, kind of a sage leader for the after-Trump era. Someone anticipating a Trump loss, potentially, and if not, either way he's set up and financially.
He's, putting himself in the position to kind of pick up the pieces when it all falls apart.
The worst thing that happens is that he just makes a lot of money. So, either way...
Win-win situation for Mr. Walker.
And quite a bit more than he would make. It looks like in a single year he'll make what he would have gotten in all of his third term. That didn't happen. I kind of had a feeling he would do better by losing, so...
Yeah.
So is the rest of Wisconsin also doing better. Although there has been some blowback on Evers for not standing strong enough on the budget.
So Walker will be in charge of the Young America's Foundation, a group that works to promote and popularize conservative ideas amongst young people. So that's, if you're interested in the actual...
It's like the Eagle Scouts of Republican.
I guess so.
Of right-wing ideology.
Something along those lines.
So, Scott, Leonard Skinner Fest is over that Uncle Rick was watching. And he'd like to have a word about
the goings on. I did reach out, and I thought...
It's episode 100.
It's episode 100. I thought it was appropriate that we bring your Uncle Rick in. Yeah. So I did send him a text earlier today, and he said he was down. So
I'm going to take a step out, and I'm going to let Uncle Rick join us. I'll be back in just a minute.
Sounds good. So, other stuff going on. Tony Evers did sign the budget here in Wisconsin. Was not everything we hoped it would be, obviously. He did manage to shift some funding towards schools that Republicans weren't going to do. So there were a number of line item vetoes that occurred. I think a lot of people were pushing him to veto the whole thing. The problem is, listeners, is that here in Wisconsin, if you don't pass a budget, it just defaults back to the previous one. So I have no doubt in my mind that the Republicans in the state legislature were just willing to kind of wait Tony Evers out and be like, all right, you don't want to sign our budget, we'll just spend the next 2 years under the same numbers that we've been operating under. So I think Evers kind of did the best he could given the hand he was dealt. So there we go. More news to come, and we'll be talking to Uncle Rick. Oh, and speaking of the devil. I'm well. Uncle Rick, welcome to the show. Episode 100. Thanks for stopping by.
I had you 100, Scotty. You guys have been fighting America for 100 episodes. Did you at least celebrate our nation's birthday this last month?
I think what you meant to say is fighting for America, but that's just me.
Oh, I mean, you can't call socialism America. It's one of the first phrases in the Constitution is that we are not a socialist American nation.
Let me ask you this, Uncle Rick. Are you on Social Security or Medicare currently?
I'm on the Constitution.
Yeah, but are you taking advantage of either of those programs currently?
Well, like I said, Patty is eligible for the Social Security. Okay. She's just a little bit my senior. But,
I assume she'll be declining that money or donating it somewhere.
Well, right? She's supposed
returning it to the federal treasury.
Well, maybe? She earned it. You see. I mean, she earned it. She put it away, and she got it now. So that's good, I mean, that's how we paying for our double wide up by Crivets for the summer.
Nice.
Nice. Well, she's been looking at those taco trucks lately and wondering about their permits.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Scoping it out.
So there's another lady named Patty running for alderperson. Alderperson. Look how woke I am, Scotty. I called it by
Renaissance man.
Yeah, she named Patty, and she was going after the taco permits, and my Patty was like, I gotta do that too.
Okay.
Especially you should see in Florida. And now sometimes they don't just sell tacos; they sell all sorts of Cuban food.
Yeah, well, that seems
but they
appropriate.
but how safe is it coming out of those trucks, Scotty?
Well, I'm sure they're subject to the same permits and inspections that any other restaurant is.
It just looks a little... You can't even understand what they're saying in English. How do you know they're following the rules? So, I gotta tell you...
Yeah, welcome back to Wisconsin. I'm assuming you're spending your summer up here.
It's still America, right? Up here?
I
don't know now that you got that governor who likes the socialism.
Tony Evers?
Oh, that is a radical hippie, man.
Okay.
Thank goodness for President Donald J. Trump and the people of Wisconsin who finally stood up and went for America that time. Okay. I sure hope they're all get out there, everybody out to vote. 1 or 2 times. I mean, I'm going to vote in Florida and Wisconsin. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
That's voter.
I'm just kidding.
It's voter fraud.
Oh, okay, well, you should be one to lecture me about vote fraud.
Yeah, I don't recall ever voting twice in my electoral history.
Well, it's maybe you should start voting then, Scott.
I do. I try to vote in every election I can.
I
vote once.
Twice. I didn't
person,
say
one vote.
I vote twice in one election. But let's move back to these
squad.
ladies.
You want to talk about
Yeah, I
the
call
squad.
them the seditious ladies of socialism.
Okay.
Nancy Pelosi is anti-American enough, and she's a socialistic person too, but these ladies are straight up seditious.
How so?
Well, they're not for America. They're for socialism. They're for making people, not embrace success. They're for other people who didn't work, who are here illegally to get our money. That's the thing with socialism. The first thing you do is spend money on everybody who's here illegally. You're going to run out of our money to spend on them.
You're talking about Ocasio-Cortez, Tlaib, Omar, and Presley. Now these are
Omar. That doesn't that just sound like a dangerous name?
Not at all.
Okay. All right. Well,
so these are 4 Democratic women who were elected to Congress this past year. They were elected.
There are so many illegal immigrants, Scotty, in this country, and now we got illegal immigrants in Congress.
How do you? These are 4 American citizens, 3 of which were born here. How is this?
Which one? You mean the seditious socialist ladies?
All 4 of them are American citizens.
They're not Americans.
They are American citizens.
Well, technically, were they born here?
3 of them were.
Okay.
Ilhan Omar was born in Somalia and came over in her youth through the asylum clause.
That doesn't make you legal, though.
She became an American citizen, and now she's elected to Congress.
Oh, okay.
That's in my mind, that's an American
so you're
success.
Saying, well, I wasn't saying that they were.
Is this not the American dream? Somebody that comes from a terrible situation, who comes over with their family and rises up and gets educated and is successful and manages to get elected to Congress.
Rules. No, these ladies, I don't agree with them. I didn't say they're not American, though.
But this is what she went through is the definition of what makes America great.
No,
and you of all people should be on board with this.
Wait a second, I wasn't saying that they weren't Americans.
I'm pretty sure you said a second
that they
ago.
don't believe in America, and there are illegal immigrants infiltrating in Congress. So they're infiltrating the ideas of Congress.
Okay, you need to be more specific then, because what it sounded like is that you were calling them illegal immigrants.
Well, it's this anti-American sentiment that the Congress Pelosi is leading.
They were elected
she
to
looked
represent.
Like she was independent, and now she's sticking up for them.
They were elected to represent their district. They managed to be successful enough that, in the case of AOC, she unseated a long-term Democratic congressman. And the rest of them were elected as well.
She unseated one of those Democrat Party people who was old school, who at least
I'm sure you would have voted for.
Oh, at least he understood the value of $1. I mean, he would tax my dollar, but at least he understood it. Now, in AOC, she's like, all those ladies, they're pretty. I'll give them that, but they just want to take my money and give it all the way to the illegals. And that's not that's why they're not pro-America. They're not American.
How are they trying to take
sense.
your money and give it away to the illegals? I guess I'm trying to understand.
Through socialism.
Meaning what?
It means, you'll have to pay higher taxes on what you earn.
Uh-huh.
And instead of getting that Social Security check Patty gets isn't that much, it doesn't afford us much.
Well,
and instead we have to share it with the illegal people.
I don't think illegal immigrants are getting Social Security. A lot of them are probably paying into it.
We have to pay for facilities on the border, which are excellent. I saw those TVs those kids are watching.
the excellent facilities. Huh?
Oh, they look good. That's a lot of propaganda. And then at least Nancy Pelosi finally said we should put a little more dollars in so they could be humanely treated.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Do you have a problem with that, or?
Well, she finally did it, but the AOC didn't want that. She wanted to stop the money.
Mm-hmm.
She just wants to create a crisis, so then you get people in the streets, and then we have to give them our money.
Oh, I see. So we're kind of backing into it, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, Scotty. I mean, that's how we, that's what the Democrat Party, Socialist Democrat Party of America.
These are great facilities down there. You don't have a problem with the conditions that people are living under?
They're finally, because Pelosi compromised with Trump, she swallowed her pride, and they improved the facilities now.
Oh, okay. So everything's peachy.
It's better than they're just on the street.
Maybe we should
just let into America. I mean, I'm not for open borders.
I'm perfectly
Scotty,
willing.
And what they should do is keep them in Mexico.
How about this? You've got some time on your hands. Obviously, I know you got to get up to Crivets and stuff and spend some time with the family and enjoy yourself. But I'm perfectly willing. I'm perfectly willing to have you go down there. And maybe as a correspondent to the show, spend some time at one of these facilities and maybe have some sleepovers and then talk to people.
Maybe after the Ted Nugent reunion tour, I got to see up by Crivets.
Yeah,
I might be able to squeeze in some time. It's a little hot down there this time of year.
It is. I'll give you that.
But I hear those kids are getting. They got at least some fans and air conditioning.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but
anyway, Scotty, I got to roll. But it was nice to talk to you.
It's good seeing you, and let's talk more about this because I'm very interested to
come up for the Nugent Fest. Okay,
Nugent Fest. All right.
We'll have a good time.
Okay,
we'll throw off some fireworks, and
he does.
We usually take a tree down and burn it, and I got my son's ATV, and I drive my 4x4, and we take down a tree, we burn it, we throw some gasoline on it to get the fire going real good.
Ted Nugent's fucking insane, but you know what? He does play mean guitar, so...
there you go, Scotty. Nice to talk to you.
All right, take care.
Go America.
On that note, listeners, forward.